Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Fa la 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 la. Come on,
No,
guys.
it's deck the halls with boughs of holly.
All right, ready? Oh, okay, okay. My bad. Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
Fa la 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 la.
'Tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel. Fa la 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 la. Trow the ancient Ulatiro. La 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us. La 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus. Fa la 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 la.
Man, look at these carolers.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome everybody to another grand episode that I'm very excited about here at the Papi and Chulo show, titled "Have Yourself a Merry, Blessed Pagan Christmas." We're going to discuss all that, all those great topics. I am Papi, and here my friend is
Chulo. Here we are.
And here we are again with our guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Matthew. Call me Matt, please.
Matthew, we had him for the last episode on Why Do We Suffer. He's a counselor in the local area. Had great advice. Thank you again. He's also excellent in making delicious drinks. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
So this is, we're kind of well into it now, but this is a peppermint espresso martini, a little bit of Christmas razzle dazzle in that one.
So it has like 3 coffee grains that you garnished it with a lemon.
Yeah, so for those curious, you want to get yourself a coffee liqueur. I swear we're not sponsored by Maggie's Farm, but this is local. So peppermint coffee, you could also just get Kahlua. So that's going to be about half an ounce and 2 ounces vodka. I used espresso, so I put a shot of espresso, 2 shots for the both of us. Shake that with ice, and you strain it into a martini glass. And you want to get lemon rind. So use your knife, get that lemon rind, and express the lemon into it. Rim the glass with the lemon rind, garnished with 3 espresso beans.
What do you got over there, Chulo?
Today I am drinking something less alcoholic than usual. I am drinking a beer called it's called Run Wild IPA. It's from Athletic Brewing, which is an alcohol-free beer. It's meant for your fellow athletes, thus the Athletic Brew, who are checking out their macros. And I am drinking, and I have to give a shout out. Again, there's no sponsors here, but one of my favorite breweries in Sacramento is New Glory. So it was a gift, a wedding gift from a friend. So I'm drinking out of my New Glory glass.
Nice.
Cheers.
And part of the reason why we're shooting from Matt's place, actually, he's graciously hosting us, is because the guy's a classy dude. I mean, fine drinks, nice cigars. What's the brand of the cigar?
Arturo Fuente.
I mean, this guy knows how to treat a lady. That's what I'm saying.
Is that why he's treating you well?
He's treating me well. I dressed up for the occasion. I was like, I want to put my best foot forward here. Christmas episode, really excited. Let's go ahead and light this puppy up.
So there you go.
Where's your cigar, Chulo?
No cigar for me today, thank you. Enjoy.
Hey, Chulo, what's the big day today?
Today, apart from celebrating a Christmas episode, today it's my birthday. So,
happy birthday,
cheers.
Bro.
Thank you, sir.
How old?
The big 34 years old.
34.
34. I have officially left my Jesus year intact, and although I was just as Jesus died on the cross at 33, I died to self on July 6th, the day of my wedding. So there's that. We both died in one way, right? So
he's moving the fire over here.
Yeah.
So let's discuss Christmas traditions, dude. We all have different family Christmas traditions. I know I have one of my favorites. Let me go ahead and start it off. One awesome thing that we used to do when we were younger, after midnight mass, we would go to it was really my little brother's Mexican godparents, but I call them mine as well. We would go to their house and we participated in their tradition. Chulo, you know the Las Posadas, which is the reenactment of Mary and Joseph going to 3 homes and getting rejected before they get accepted in the last place. Now, for those of you who don't know, I mean, most people know the stereotypical Mexican attire, very colorful, very flowy. The little boys were all like a line of little boys, Mexican boys, in all white with a red tie, fake mustache, sombrero, wide brim sombrero, and you know, imagine the little chubby kid, just how cute he looks, and all the little girls with their hairs braided, beautiful Mexican looking little girls, in their very colorful wide dress, walking in the ghetto of New Jersey, like the ghetto, and because it's a huge group, but it's so innocent, so cute, then like everybody's just curious and applauding everybody as we're walking by. We would go to 3 homes, get rejected. Then we go to the host family, and it's usually a huge honor to be the host family. People are encouraged to join the procession, and anybody who arrives at that end destination with there's music, food, tons of beer, and everybody's welcome, and it becomes a big celebration until the wee hours of the morning. That is one of my favorite pastimes, which unfortunately we don't really participate anymore because our families have grown. But what about you guys? What's favorite tradition from the past or currently?
Matt, I'll let you go. You're our guest.
So we have, growing up, my family was, my immediate family, we lived everywhere. So we were estranged from other family members and we had to make our own traditions, just the 3 of us, my pops, my mom, and myself. And one of them that stuck in my mind was like a bonus, Feast of the 3 Kings, so the Epiphany. The Spanish tradition is, they would tell me, actually, one of the first things they did, which is now going to be my tradition, is as soon as I was old enough to understand who Santa Claus was, they told me he was not real. So they dispensed with that frivolity. And then they started to tell me, of course, about, Christmas, Jesus. And they put the Feast of the 3 Kings, the Epiphany, as one of the traditions that we do. So the idea is they would tell me, the 3 kings are going to visit our house and they're on their way to see the Christ. So they would ask me, what do you think that they need? And I was a kid. I was like, I don't know. They're kings. They got everything they need. And they're like, no. They're camels. They're on camels. The camels are going to be hungry, tired, thirsty. What should we do? So I would put out a bowl of water and we would fill our shoes with straw, right, for the camels so they could eat. So the tradition goes, you fill your shoes with straw, you leave them outside for the camels, and in place of the straw, you get money. They fill your gold, so to speak. They fill your shoes with money. So I would do that, and my parents would put cash in the shoes, and I would be the only kid, so it would be all mine. One of my favorites leading up to Christmas. And then it was other traditions. When we did get time to spend with family, my mother has a very, very big extended family. So we would have all the cousins meet up, and one of our older cousins, Raymond, he had like the old, those big cameras, like the VHS recorders and all that. And he would do home videos with us. And we have like really old, like VHS recordings of like little Matt and all my cousins, like kids. And they'd make us do like, just like random skits. They'd make up ideas and they'd have us act it out. So that wasn't necessarily Christmas themed all the time, but it would be a tradition of like getting together for that. And we would have these like videos now. So whenever we meet up, whenever there's a new marriage into the family, part of their initiation process is they have to watch our old family videos and they have to pretend that they're the funniest thing ever.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, cool. For me, my favorite thing is a lot of Mexicans, we don't actually celebrate Christmas on Christmas Day. We celebrate it, what's called Noche Buena. So you celebrate it on Christmas Eve, and it's just a party. So as a kid, you're just excited and waiting for it to be midnight because midnight is the time when you get to open up all the presents, because you have to open it on the 25th, but it's midnight, and once the clock strikes, then you open
But that's
presents.
how Jesus intended it. He intended for presents to be open at midnight after midnight mass or something like that,
There we go. Well,
right? Isn't that
well, according to some traditions, yes. According to some, I guess, no.
actually? I don't even know. It just
Yeah.
happened to be a lot of Latinos tradition.
A lot.
Did you open
Yeah.
it? Did you open it Christmas Eve or night or on day?
We would go to midnight mass. So when we got home, we'd open the presents because it's technically like
Yeah.
25th.
Yeah.
Dude, I
So
was always scandalized by watching Home Alone because I would literally say, as a kid internally, I'd be like, "You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You doing? Why are you waiting?"
for me, I always knew that American families, non-Mexican families, celebrated it on Christmas Day. But to me, it just sounded so boring because for me, I grew up in a very poor area where we basically lived in an alleyway. It was just like this dirt road alleyway where there were 4 or 5 apartments. But the cool thing about it is like everybody from the who lived in those apartments were all from the same town in Mexico. So we all knew each other. And whenever Christmas came around, we all got together in these apartments. We'd all come out and just celebrate together. And it was just nothing but food, laughing, festivities, everybody just having fun. And as a kid, you're just entertaining yourself until midnight strikes. But everybody's having food and drinks and just, all that's flowing for all the adults. And now as I've gotten older, we still celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. And now as one of the adults, not one of the children, it's endearing and charming to watch the little kids struggle to make it to midnight. I have a time lapse last year of my nephews. One of them was 4 at the time, the other one was I think 6, and the time lapse of when can we open presents to it would go from I want to open presents, I'm super excited, to meltdown, to getting entertained for a few minutes coloring, to falling asleep, to waking up and realizing it's already past midnight. Like you just see the progression for these kids. But as an adult, you get to come around with your family. You're enjoying drinks. For my dad, he loves tequila. He sips tequila straight. That's the only way he'll ever have tequila. And just to be able to enjoy a drink with my dad, and I think I embrace and I cherish those moments because we're not always going to have them. To be able to enjoy. One day I'm going to be the old man that everybody's coming around and wanting to hear my stories. So
And you only drink tequila straight. Yeah.
at that point I will.
No, yeah, he only drinks it straight. Don't you gotta mix it. Yeah.
Yeah, that or whiskey. So, but
Yeah.
but it's cool. Just celebrating and actually partying. So this is going to be the first year that I'm not going to be doing that because this year, now that I'm married, this is going to be my first Christmas as a married man. And I'm going to Pennsylvania. That's where my family, or my wife's family's from. And it's going to be going to bed on Christmas Eve and waking up in the morning. And that's when everything happens, but it's not a party.
Just make sure you tell them that they are doing it wrong. Okay?
Yeah.
Just
Well,
let them know.
Yeah.
She tells me that they give each other books on New Year's Eve and that they read for the rest of the evening. It's like, what is this? So my wife is exactly. My wife is very well aware of this, and she keeps telling me, she's like, I just want to make sure that it's not disappointing for you. We're gonna play games. We're gonna have drinks. It's gonna be quieter. There's not gonna be loud music, but I'm gonna try to make it as fun for you as possible. I'm like,
That's funny. That's an insecurity for her. I just that this isn't a deterrent for us.
Yeah.
Dude, but now that we've solved that age-old question of when should presents be open, we have a more modern-esque question that really like toggles at the minds of people today. For at least those who remember this movie, is Die Hard with a Vengeance a Christmas movie or not?
well, I think us as men can give you the correct and definitive answer, and that's a yes. It is. It is a Christmas movie.
But because we're brainiacs, we have to identify what makes a Christmas movie.
Well, you said Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, with the
Well, I'm sorry. Is it Die Hard?
it's the original Die Hard.
Okay, that's what I meant. That's what I
the
meant.
OG one, yeah.
Yeah. Now, short little plot summary. Who could share it best?
So Hans is the villain, and from what I understand, he takes over. He takes people hostage, right?
The Nagasaki building or something like that? A Japanese building.
Yeah, I'm gonna quiz you on that specific
Oh, okay.
question later. So rack your brains now. Yeah. So to be honest, I kind of forget. I do watch it almost every Christmas, and I kind of forget the main plot. I'm just there to see Bruce Willis step on broken glass and shoot people.
Essentially, he's going through a separation with his wife, or he had already separated, and he happens to be in the same building where he confronts his wife. And then he becomes the hero of the day because these terrorists or people with bad intentions took over the building. And the last famous scene is the villain Hans falling off the ledge in slow motion, just falling away. And that was a very popular moment that remains in movie history.
So I'm going to give you one piece of Christmas trivia right now. We all know what Bruce Willis says when he says "Yippee yippee ki right?
Mother truckers,
But
yes.
do you know what the dubbed version for TV, what he said then?
Oh, I
Do you
don't.
know?
No. So I don't know. So
No.
He says "Yippee ki Mr. Falcon." I don't know why.
In a voice that doesn't sound like his own, is it? It's kind of weird.
It's perfect.
best or worst presents that you've ever experienced?
As a kid, sweaters.
Whatever.
Who gives sweaters as
But
a?
have you ever gotten a sweater and started crying?
Oh yeah, actually,
Like a bad
I did.
present and started crying as a kid. Well, here's my story then. Dude. My dad promised us Mortal Kombat when I was maybe, let's say, 8 years old, and my older brother was 10. And the dude didn't know any better. He went to the arcade place where he worked in the mall. He was a maintenance worker, and he knew the guy, and the guy knew us. And he was very fond of us because we used to roam the malls of Paramus Park Mall when we were younger. Imagine these no guardian, no parental figure. We were just roaming the whole mall of Paramus Park. And just,
The good old days.
the good old days, before people used to kidnap you that much. And this guy told my dad, "You're gonna buy this for your sons? No, this is really bad. It's no good, no bueno. Buy them something good. That yippee ki mother trucker, So what do we get on Christmas? We get this. I get this large rectangular figure, and my older brother gets a triangular figure. We open it up. My dad's recording with the old video cameras, VHS. He's all excited. He's a farmer boy who's never gotten things like this, right? I get a piano, keyboard. My older brother gets a guitar, a fancy one. And dude, in the video, we're crying, we're bawling. And we run to our room to cry. Now, I tease the American culture a bit in that if this were an American family, they would be like, "Son, I'm sorry, this was good for you. It would have not been good for I don't know why I'm saying a Trump voice. This would have not been good for you if we had bought Mortal Kombat.
Bad for you all around."
Bad for you. Many people say. Many people say. So.
Why'd you cry? I didn't cry. I wouldn't have cried.
But what does a Peruvian father do who does believe in corporal punishment? My dad gets in there and whoops our butt. He whoops us and says, appreciate. He used the love side. This is like abuse, and this is like love, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
CPS, parental discipline.
So, but we've always teased him for that story, and we love. And I still have the piano, and we love our parents. And my older brother, I think he still has a guitar. We love him for it. So that's my story.
Worst present? Okay, so I can't say I've ever been given a bad present because I was raised to be thankful. What I will say, this is one of the things that makes me laugh a lot is my father has this thing that he does where if he wants me to do something with my life, he will give me a gift that forces me, or not forces me, but like is very on the nose. So, for example, behind me, you'll see an electronic drum kit. Okay, now I'm very thankful. I mean, it's not cheap. I think he got it on sale. I don't know how much they are now, but he was hinting at this for a while for one of the. I think this was for my birthday actually, but he does this for Christmas too. And when he my mom was like, I don't know if he's gonna want it. And I'm like, what are you getting me? And then it finally came out. It was a drum kit. And my deal was, look, when I was a kid, y'all already gave me a real drum set. It's at your house. When I go home, I'll play with it. I don't need an electronic one. But he was insistent. He's like, no, I really want you to have this set. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't have room. There's no room for this. I have too many things in this house right now.
You don't want it.
First world problem, right? First world problem for sure. But he does this. He forces presents on you that he really wants.
How awful.
How awful, right? So he comes, he sets it up, and he's like, isn't this nice? And of course, I'm like, yeah, thanks, thank you. And really, I am very thankful.
But it wasn't Mortal Kombat. That's why you're upset.
But it
right?
wasn't Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's why he's not, dude.
At least it wasn't a sweater, man. At least it wasn't a sweater.
The deal that we made, though, was I said, okay, it sounds like that. It sounds like you want this. You want it for yourself when you come here to visit. So I was like, I'll let you get it for me. It's a funny thing to say. If you let me teach you how to use it. So lo and behold, I get it. He never really sat down and like used it with me. So when he comes back again, he owes me. But he's very infamous for this. He'll also do the same thing when you ask him, what do you want for Christmas? It'll be something for you that he wants you to do. I want you to do this. I want you to enroll in this course. I want you to do this. So that's what he likes to do on Christmas and any birthday whatsoever.
And dude, we can have a whole episode on that, how parents choose things and maybe use it against you later on. My dad used to do it a lot. Oh, I got this for you. Remember that thing that I got you? Well, now it's time to pay up, kind of deal. So that could be a whole episode of our healing and recovery over those tactics.
Yeah.
But let's move on to a little trivia that Matt here has prepped for us. I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a little competition between Chulo and I, whoever answers first, kind of deal. And hopefully they're not too hard because I definitely don't know all the, 12 reindeers? Is it 12 or 8? I've already forgotten.
Sucks for you. That's one of them.
Mm.
All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
As ready as I can be.
Hey, you better not be cheating over there.
Yeah, you got to have your hands.
I better not be
typing ChatGPT. So the first question is actually, it's an interesting question. We might talk more about this later. I have a question about that later. The Christmas tree, where does it come from? Which country did this tradition originate from?
Germany.
Correct.
Yeah, it had to be Germany. Protestant people.
Wow, that was quick. All right, now this one is a little more pop culture. For those who love world records, okay? Which song holds the Guinness World Record for the most downloaded Christmas song for all time?
All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
Correct.
I thought it was maybe It's Cold Outside or whatever. The one that's banned now.
That is banned now, yeah. All right, so this one, we mentioned this before, Home Alone, right? In this movie, where are the McAllisters going on vacation when they leave their son behind?
New York?
Incorrect.
No.
Hawaii.
Paris.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
baby.
Bonus question. What are the names of the two villains?
Harry and
Marty.
Clyde. Marty.
So you both kind of got that. That'll negate that one. Okay. Nice. So this one is a historical one, and we might know this one. Which significant event involving British and German troops took place on Christmas Day during the First World War?
It was the infamous or the famous ceasefire on Christmas Day in World War One.
There's an actual name for it.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Christmas truce?
That is correct.
A Christmas truce.
Yeah.
Oh, so you telling me not to cheat, and here we are. All right, Papi, I see how it goes. All right.
Well, that's quite all right, because now you have to name all of Santa's reindeer.
Oh, that's not.
Well, we can work this out together.
I thought there were donkeys, dude.
There's Sleepy, Happy, Dopey, right?
That's Snow Brown and the Diversity Hires. You got that one wrong.
Yeah. All right. Dasher, Prancer, Blitzen.
Vixen.
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 Okay. Okay.
Vixen.
Dasher, Prancer, Vixen. Obviously Rudolph.
There's the song. You know the song. You know.
Dancer and Prancer and Comet and Blitzen. Do 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 do.
Ready, dude.
And we don't know. Just tell us the answer.
Yeah.
So Dasher, Dancer,
Dancer.
Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen. This is what gets me. Okay, this is just an aside. So the song says, you know, Dasher and Prancer, all that stuff. But do you know the most famous reindeer of all? Is what the song asks. So you have the gall to ask me about the lesser known reindeers first. And then you say, but do you know the most famous reindeer? Of course you do. That's the only one people remember.
There's a whole song dedicated to him. Come on.
Dude,
Rudolph the
you
Red-Nosed
just
Reindeer.
almost turned Trumpish here. Do you even know?
Do you even know?
Do you even know?
Let me tell you. I know. Let me tell you, folks. Let me tell you.
It's the worst.
All right, continue.
So this is a theme of global traditions, all right? This one's a little tricky. This is in France. What unusual item is hidden in the cakes as part of Christmas tradition in France, and finding it is considered lucky?
In the
Cigarettes.
cakes?
In the cakes.
Oh, I don't know.
A baby toy of Jesus?
I don't know.
That is correct. In the king cake. This is actually where the Mardi Gras tradition of king cake comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
Their French roots. Yeah.
If you've ever had, so I've had a Mexican king's cake, and not to insult my Mexican culture, but it's horrible. If you've ever had Louisiana style king's cake, it is phenomenal, dude. I had a coworker of mine. She was from I think New Orleans area, and every year she would order king's cake to be brought to the school, order it directly from Louisiana, and she would share it with everyone. It was delicious. Mexican king's cake has nothing on Louisiana style king's cake.
So is Mexican king's cake, you bite into a slice, and inside is a little sampler of tequila, and you have to drink it.
Exactly, yeah. So and then that way, and then on Candlemas, which is the technically one of the final feasts before entering, or actually it's already into ordinary time. It's in February. So the thing is, you get a slice, and if you get the little toy of baby Jesus, then on Candlemas, which is an old Catholic tradition, you have to make food for that celebration of Candlemas. Yeah. So Candlemas is it's the blessing of the candles, entering into this, I think as you're entering into Lent. So at churches, they do celebrations where you bring candles and they'll bless them.
Chulo, I'm just happy that you're finally recognizing that, Mexico could be inferior at some things,
It is inferior on one thing, and that's king's cake. It's a good thing. It's always superior over Peru, so we're good.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
So I have another question now. This one is a freebie, okay? Who wrote A Christmas Carol?
Charles Dickens.
Wow, that was quick.
I didn't know that.
All right, festive foods. Let's think of festive foods. This one's more Eurocentric, so Christmas pudding, right? What is the main ingredient in a traditional Christmas pudding?
Eggs.
Don't know.
Dried fruit.
Ugh.
Traditional Christmas pudding. I don't know where. I don't know.
Well, if it's
which
winter,
country.
you would only have dried stuff, flavorful stuff. If you want it to be flavorful, it would be from the olden days. It would have to be stored food that would last.
Must be a European thing. So all you European viewers, I know you said it. I believe in you. All right, plants. Festive Christmas plants. The poinsettia. What does the red color of this Christmas plant, the poinsettia, symbolize?
Jesus.
I don't know.
The Sacred
Jesus,
Heart or the
Mary.
Precious Blood.
Oh, there you go. The
Wow.
precious blood of Christ. Yes.
Wait, of the poinsettia, really?
The red color symbolizes the blood of Christ.
Which I think the poinsettia originated from Mexico, isn't it?
Really?
I think so.
Dude, not everything comes from Mexico, okay?
Oh,
Gosh,
come on.
Why do you always do that?
Papi, come on. Let's be honest.
Dude.
Come on,
If
man.
you
What do you?
buy a poinsettia, look at the bottom. If it says hecho in Mexico, then
No, these is made in China.
Let's find
Dude,
out.
there's stuff in Peru that I buy in the streets, and if you look underneath the thing, made in China. I'm like, come on, come on, guys.
They're everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
All right, now this is gift giving traditions. Which country is credited with starting the tradition of exchanging gifts?
Turkey.
England, probably. England.
We're gonna go way back.
Well, it's
okay.
so I'm gonna say it's got to be somewhere in the Turkey area, somewhere. It's got to be Eastern Europe or Middle East. Because if we're talking about, or because so Saint Nicholas, the original Saint Nicholas is from Nyssa, which is I don't actually know what general region it is, but if a lot of it is attributed to him, or if it is just an American holiday, maybe it's got to be somewhere there. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my butt here. You tell me.
The answer is ancient Rome during
No way.
Saturnalia. Yes,
Oh yeah. Okay.
because Christmas is pagan after all, as they say.
Something
All
like
right.
I've been having my doubts recently. We'll talk about it later, though.
So, okay, so this one it's kind of, if you've watched the movie Elf and you've paid attention, because apparently Elf is now a staple for Christmas movies. What are the four main food groups according to Buddy Will Ferrell in the movie Elf?
spaghetti, maple syrup,
No,
eh,
no. Wait. You said something about syrup?
maple syrup.
No.
I don't know.
So for all you
Cotton
viewers
candy,
who
sugar.
love this movie, four main food groups. He says candy, candy canes, candy corn, and syrup.
I like the movie. I didn't think it was incredible.
I did like Peter Dinklage in it.
Yeah, he
You
was
see
good.
little Tyrion in there. That was awesome.
One more.
All right, so this we have so many more though. Okay, fine. I'll
Just
skip
one
to the
more,
good
just one
ones.
more,
I'll
yeah,
skip
yeah.
to the good ones. Let me give you three. Okay, fine. Two more. So, in which country is it a tradition to hide a pickle in the Christmas tree?
Ireland or Germany?
Germany. Second to the last. What is given on the fourth day of Christmas? On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
Turtle doves, pigeons.
4 calling birds.
Calling birds. Yes. Okay.
David.
Last question. We alluded to this. You got to rack your brains. In the movie, what is the name of the fictitious name? What is the fictitious name of the building called where the movie is filmed in Die Hard? It is not Nagasaki.
Dang it.
No idea.
It is Nakatomi Plaza.
With an N.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is a Christmas movie.
Chulo, I want to make amends with you. And I want to make amends by drinking this drink called a Mexican handshake made by Matt's endearing girlfriend all the way in Canada. Cheers to you. Salute to you.
Cheers, Joy.
Why is it called a Mexican handshake?
So, one of the things she says is, I love cinnamon. And this is made with 2 ounces of mezcal, so it's a little smoky. And there's an ounce of falernum. So look that up. Falernum's awesome. Also from Maggie's Farm, also not sponsored by us, or not sponsoring us. I wish they would.
But you could be.
But they could be. Traditionally, because we made it up, it's made with lime. I don't have lime. I use lemon. A little bit of agave to keep it Mexican, But the handshake part is north of the border, south of the border. We meet in the middle. We shake hands because falernum is made in the States, at least the ones we used, and it brings us together in one delicious cocktail.
You know what else?
Smoky.
You know what also looks delicious apart from your drink is the way Papi's dressed.
Thanks,
I
guys.
feel overdressed.
I feel overdressed. I feel like I wore too much.
Yeah, just
He is wearing pants, by the way, just so you know.
that's debatable.
So, we wanted to start off with a story of hope. I think we've all heard the mentions of this, right? It was part of your question, the Christmas truce of 1914, the First World War. I I really enjoyed doing the prep work for this show because there is so much inspiring, incredible history to Christmas. And I was watching certain video clips that we are not really able to share because of YouTube copyright and all that. But all those videos that you may have seen where the two sides, the British, French, Scots, and all that, the Allies versus well, I don't know if they were called the Allies for the First World War, but that side versus the Germans and the Ottoman Empire and the trenches. Sometimes they were 300 yards apart, sometimes just 30 yards apart. But they wouldn't really cross each other because once you pop yourself up, you get shot down, you get mowed down. That was the horrific part of trench warfare. But on this one special Christmas early in the war, there was usually there would be profanity, shouted at each other, rude remarks. But per reports, per historians, and they've done their research and done their best to determine whether this was myth or real life that it happened. And they can validate certain things, that the British started hearing Christmas carols being sung from the opposite side on Christmas Eve day. And then they themselves started singing. And then they saw Christmas carols and the Christmas trees, small little Christmas trees, being placed in vision for the British. And then people would start yelling back more friendlier things. One German guy, supposedly per this account, says, "Okay, tomorrow, you no shoot, we no shoot. You no shoot, we no shoot." And then the British side, they're going along with this. They kind of like stand up, pop themselves, make sure they don't get shot at, and then quickly go back, testing the waters. A couple more guys do it, they wave, pop themselves down. You have to be careful, you're going to get shot down, right? Little by little, dude, they just somehow break the ice. They met at the center where the barbed wire was separating, and they would start exchanging champagne, cigarettes, chocolate. Quote, now excuse the words, different context, history. "We shared fags and goodies with the Germans, and from somewhere, somehow, a football appeared." And that's a story as well, that supposedly they played. They didn't play a football game necessarily, like one side versus the other. They were just kicking the ball around, and it's supposed the ball came from the German side. So that's pretty awesome. And you have some pictures, Chulo?
We're not going to show the video?
Or if you can show the video, by all means,
we can. So if YouTube videos, they fall under fair use as long as there's commentary behind it. So we can pause it halfway through.
Oh, dude, you just made me excited. I'm happy. It's a very emotional clip.
Yeah. So
of course they took liberties, but go for it, Chulo.
Of course, yeah. We'll watch a portion of it. We'll split it into 4 segments, about a minute each, and then we'll do our commentary, and then we'll come back to it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
But again, while he's getting it ready, imagine the context. It's cold, it's wet. Historians said that it was a cold, wet day.
No.
Getting cold, wet, separate from your family, you're missing, you're longing, hurting. Go ahead, continue.
Oh yeah, no, just a little commentary on that. I mean, in such ravish form of warfare where you're probably always scared for your life, knowing that you could die in any second. Can you imagine that little glimpse of hope, of feeling like, just of a song that reminds you of home? Can you imagine? It just is. That to me is just a fascinating point. But let's continue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So sad again now, sleep in hellish
Ein Briter kommt! Ein Briter kommt!
Jim?
Jim, no, don't do it!
Halt! Er ist nicht bewaffnet!
Just a quick second. And forgive the language, the balls on that guy.
The cojones.
Like
Because it had to happen in real life. Somebody
Yep.
had to take that first step
Yep.
of saying, okay, we're not going to shoot each other, it seems. Let me risk it. Let me risk it.
Yeah.
Doctor!
My name is Jim.
Mein Name ist Otto.
Pleased to meet you, Otto.
Freut mich.
Rose, she's called.
Schön.
Schön.
Danke.
Happy Christmas.
Frohe Weihnachten.
Ooh, graham cracker. Nice, good old Sainsbury's. Gotta get that marketing in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what would suck? I would hope that they would, just for the sake of what happened, transfer people from one section to another. Because like you just shook dude's hand and it's the same guy and you got to shoot him later on. That would suck.
Yeah,
You know-
and that was part of the concern of the leadership.
Yeah.
And that's why they enacted strict orders and strict consequences if you try to fraternize with the opposite side.
Yeah. You know
When I
what's
looked
interesting?
this up, oh, sorry, go on.
I was just thinking of if you talk to veterans today, or there's videos of veterans today, like from World War II, who said that, you know, who would met their enemies years later as old men. They fought against each other, and they were saying, like if him and I would have met beforehand, and we weren't at war, we could have been probably good friends. And it just it really puts a war into a different perspective for you.
Yeah.
One of the stories I heard was there was a Scotsman apparently who so they had it was a day and a half, I think the ceasefire lasted, and they exchanged champagne, they had some alcohol, and there was this Scotsman who woke up the next day in the wrong trench. He just hung over as hell. Woke up in the wrong trench with a bunch of the other Germans. I bet. And can you imagine? You're just like, where am I? And it's like, oh crap. And it's like, we're gonna start killing each other soon. He needs to get back. I'm like, it's such a gentleman thing to do, because it's like you know what it's like to be hungover, and it's like, look, you gotta go
You
back.
gotta go, dude.
I don't want to shank you right now. You just gotta go back. And the Scotsman is just probably like, oh, okay. He's just stumbling back over, trying to hydrate. I can't even imagine.
Gosh.
I don't even know if that would be possible today.
Oh no.
No, I think it still would be possible in unique circumstances. But then here's a quote from a private Henry Williamson. So it's all on records, right? Like letters sent to families, diaries kept. And the historians did their best, because this was a long time debate of whether it really happened or not. I'm actually surprised that there are some historians that totally deny it, that it happened. But there's enough accounts, not just from the British, French, Scots side.
So you're gonna read some of the letters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some quotes.
Okay, so
Um,
while you're reading the quotes, You also send me over some pictures of the actual event, right?
Yeah, go for it.
So while you're reading the quotes, I'm going to go ahead and share the pictures. Go ahead.
Yeah, but also records from the German side. So, how can you not sense that at least something happened, even if it was like faint? So one quote from Private Henry Williamson. He writes, "In my mouth is a pipe presented by the Princess Mary. In the pipe is German tobacco. Ha ha, you say, from a prisoner or found in a captured trench? Oh dear no, from a German soldier. Marvelous, isn't it?
Marvelous, isn't it?
Marvelous, isn't it?" And dude, there were even records of a British barber supposedly who crossed the lines and started cutting German hair. And then the letter of you, the drunk Scots,
Yeah.
that woke up on the wrong side. So this was more so embraced by the British and American and French side, and it was confirmed by these pictures that we're seeing here, people intermingling. Once the pictures come out, that can't be denied.
Yeah.
We don't have AI technology now or false pictures. They didn't have that then, so it can't be falsified. Couldn't be falsified. And then, at least in the West, they were printing out newspapers titled "Foes in the Trenches Swap Pies for Wine," "Football in the firing lanes," or "The Power of Peace in a Time of War." Where the West acknowledged it, but unfortunately the Germans and the Ottoman Empire, the rest, denied it more because it was more to their detriment. You don't want to develop any sense of sympathy for the opposite side. So, and then eventually the West supposedly did the same thing. They try to suppress it because you, in a time of war, have to have this animosity towards the other if you want to win. And that's what they both recognize. Hence the strict rules of no fraternizing. It's technically treason if you fraternize, etc., etc. But still, nevertheless, a very beautiful moment that happened in history. In watching, that's just one video. That's a commercial video, and they took cinematic liberties. I've watched several videos, and each of them brought a tear to my eye. When I say I was very happy in doing the research for this, I think this was the one that I was the happiest in doing the research for, because watching some of these videos or some other movie clips that refer to this, incredible, guys, incredible.
The manliest of tears, though.
Yeah, the manliest of tears. But I admit, Chulo, I've been having my doubts recently. I've been having a lot of discussion with very high intellect, smart people. Call me a doubting Thomas, but are we really celebrating this merry Christmas, or are we just celebrating another pagan holiday?
Well,
Interestingly, I'll add to that. Sorry. I was at work and someone had come in and they were going over like all this stress they were experiencing. And then they said to me, and recently I found out that Christmas, it's a pagan holiday. It's just a pagan holiday. And originally it was something about sacrificing children. And I was like, what? Like out of left field. So I find that there's these rounds made on the internet every once in a while where certain Christian holidays are put under question. Where did they come from? Are they actually genuine? Are we just swapping one thing for another? If you go back far enough in history, do these traditions stand the test of time?
As far as I know, the holiday of Sol Invictus on December 25th was celebrated. Celebration of a pagan sun god, the unconquerable sun.
Saturnalia?
Well, that's another one too.
There's a wide variety of them.
Yeah, and I'm sure you got some smart aleck response that you're going to try to cover this up. The fact that all we did was just change it for the benefit of the early Christian church. But I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, let me ask you. So, if there is overlap, does that necessarily mean that we are praying to Sol Invictus? Like, for example, um, using lights as a way of celebrating, lighting things up. Just because there is overlap, does that mean that they are officially pagan?
Yes. No, I just said that
Yeah,
impulsively.
I mean, I want to say yes too.
Well,
You're pretty much just putting a new title to the celebration.
No,
You're
but
keeping the
what if
same
but what if
festivities.
I would say no though, because if there are overlaps in the way we celebrate things, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're just taking everything from them and then just slapping a new label onto it. So we as Christians have always celebrated the birth of Christ because he is our God. We've always celebrated it. Now there's different reasons why we celebrate it on the 25th of December as to another day. I know even Jehovah's Witnesses will say that we shouldn't be celebrating it on this day. Actually, they don't celebrate anything. So in general, they don't want to celebrate, but that it's on a different day. But I will say this: just because there are natural phenomenons that occur doesn't necessarily mean that us Christians cannot embrace those natural phenomenons as well. So, for example, one of the reasons why Catholics, Christians, we embrace Christmas on the 25th of December is because the 25th of December is the time when the days of winter have come to their shortest, and now the days are starting to turn and become longer. So I believe the shortest day of the year is the 22nd of December, and the 25th is when we really start making our way out. So there's this natural phenomenon, and the church recognizes this. It's a symbolism of Christ coming into the world. So the fact that it lines up as well with Sol Invictus' celebration doesn't necessarily mean anything. Now, I will say this: for those who were trying to bring people into the faith, if they see an overlap, it will make it easier for them to come over and start celebrating. If they're converting, that way they don't have they're dropping their celebration of a false god and now get to celebrate the celebration of a real God. And the church has done this. It's called enculturation. Has done this throughout the centuries. Not to say, well, we're taking what's pagan and we're just slapping a new label onto it. It's like, no, if we're really trying to bring people into Christ, we also have to recognize the origins of their culture and say, look, we also have a celebration of certain things, and this is the Christian understanding. So you're still celebrating something beautiful around this time, but it's actually to the one true God. It's one of the reasons as well why the marketing world of today has also elevated Hanukkah to such high esteem. Hanukkah is not a very big holiday for the Jews, but now because everybody else is celebrating, the Jews are also celebrating in a way, they bring about Hanukkah, and it's becoming a big marketing thing too. I go to Target nowadays and there's a whole section for Hanukkah. So if there's overlap and people in your culture are celebrating their God, well, we as Christians are also celebrating something, and that's God himself. Now, there are liturgical things that line up, such as Mary's Annunciation, so that the moment that Jesus was conceived in her womb, and that to this day is March 25th, right? So March 25th is the day when we as Catholics claim that the Annunciation occurred, she was conceived. Well, what's 9 months after the Annunciation? Is the birth of Christ. So it's
The winter solstice 9 months after that. No, but I get your point. Yeah.
So let me give you one more example of where this has happened as well. All Saints Day is when?
November 3rd, 2nd, first.
All Saints Day.
All Souls and All Saints.
Yes, All Saints Day is November 1st. All Souls Day is the next day.
Yeah.
So Catholics have always celebrated the saints, and there has been a day in the past where we celebrated all the saints, and then we celebrate and pray for all souls, all faithful souls. Well, when enculturating started happening, especially coming to the Americas, especially in Mexico, there was the tradition of Dia de los Muertos, which is celebrated around October. So the church, in order to accommodate enculturation, said, we're going to shift our liturgical schedule or celebration of this feast day in order to help these pagan people to bring them over eventually into the Catholic faith, to evangelize to them. So they said, look, we celebrate something similar. You celebrate the Dia de los Muertos. The church celebrates All Saints Days and All Souls Day. So the church made the official change to change it from whatever day it was, I don't remember which day it was, to November 1st. And then the day before that was All Hallows Eve. So the church does these things in order to help people to evangelize. It's not to, well, we're pagan and we're just going to slap a new label onto it. It's like, no, we want people to come to Christ. And if these changing of these feasts happen, why not? What's so wrong with that?
Sounds like a Mexican handshake.
Yes, it does. Matt, let me tell you, I saw the moment that it clicked in your mind. The moment you started grabbing for your glass, you were like, here's a moment. Here's a moment.
But one thing I want to clarify, what I'm catching what you're throwing here, there's a difference between asking, does Christmas come from a pagan holiday? Does Christmas come from a pagan holiday, meaning that we just changed the title? Two, did Christians replace a pagan holiday, which is what you're saying? Did we, you could say replace, you could say offer another form of celebration that happened to be celebrated that day?
Yeah.
Because if you say that actually it's a pagan, it was pagan worship, and we just changed the title for the sake of, new times, new beginnings, versus saying there is already a legitimate new tradition, a new movement, a new religion, and we're offering something new, totally different. Do you get what I'm saying there?
Sorry. Thank you. So
I would say that those are two important, distinctive questions.
Absolutely, they're a big distinction. We already had a celebration, and again, we already had a celebration. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're taking their pagan holiday and saying like, all right, this is Christian now, but we're still, we're actually celebrating Sol Invictus, but we'll just call it Christian, and that way, it'll kind of conform. I think that is a very important distinction to bring out. So and this is the same thing. This is another point I wanted to make as well. Just because there's overlap, and just because we use like the summer solstice or what we use certain names, it doesn't necessarily mean that we believe in the pagan goddesses of whatever, right? So like the month of January comes from the Roman god Janus. Janus, or are we celebrating the Roman god Janus? We're not. And same thing as Thursday comes from the Norse god Thor. Thursday, exactly. Odin's Day, yeah. So
I'd be cool with that.
So this is the thing. We're using these names, but does that mean that we're worshiping these gods on those days? It doesn't. We're just it's been added into the culture, and it's just part of the culture now. And I think that's part of the distinction is like it's part of the culture to celebrate, though there is overlap. It doesn't mean we're celebrating those gods and those goddesses. I think that's super important to point out.
Yeah. Okay, I'm catching what you're throwing here, and I think it would be a good example to share a little bit of my Peruvian history here that may help us understand.
Oh wait, sorry, 1 second before we get into that, because that deserves its own section. The one thing I found recently was, the Yule log, like the burning a log, the fire, all that stuff. So I was curious because that's also like in some Christmas songs, like the Yuletide, Yule log, that kind of stuff. So speaking of Vikings, there's the Yule logs tradition. The Norsemen of Northern Europe had also celebrated the winter solstice. So there's a lot of celebration of this winter solstice. A lot of it seems to be linked to the sun god. So they believe the sun was a wheel, and it changed its course, and the Yule log was burned in honor of the sun god. So symbolically, that was like a big hearty log specifically chosen for that purpose. And for you doomsday preppers out there, you know all about like certain kinds of trees, certain kinds of fire starters that you could use to like burn for a long time. This was one of them. So Christianity, as it spread across Europe, these pagan customs were Christianized. And it was exactly like you said. It's not that we are secretly celebrating this Norse custom, but we said, oh, you do that? That's kind of cool. You know what? You want to join us? Let's incorporate what you got going on and let's put it in the context of our faith. So if you can kind of see this, there's the log symbolizes warmth. It symbolizes light in the darkest time of the year. So in the darkness of winter, that's kind of what we did. So it was traditionally burned from Christmas Eve until the 12th night, January 6th, I believe. So it's decorative, but modern interpretations are like Yule log shaped cake. People will make that. I think it's called something like, I'm going to butcher this, but bûche de Noël. I don't know if that's how they say it. But we see like Christmas, we had that fire a little earlier in the podcast, but there's this acceptance of, oh, you're doing that? Well, let's include you. You don't have to change your custom when you convert, but let's make it something beautiful. Let's make it Christ-like for you. So it's not as if you have to completely abandon your culture and tradition, but let's put a little razzle dazzle on that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and some people may,
I was
some
just
people
gonna
may still hear.
go ahead.
Some people may still hear that and think, no, that's shady. That's shady. But I have an example for you that I think will help. But go ahead and finish, Chula.
Well, the real time example, and I brought it up earlier, is Hanukkah. Hanukkah is starting to be incorporated very well into the Christmas holidays, right? It's because you look at the colors; it's very much winter colors, things like that. But Hanukkah has never really been a big Jewish holiday, mainly because the tradition comes from the time of Judas Maccabeus. So if you look at historically, in the Catholic Church, it's in our Bible because we have the first and second book of Maccabees where they're using the menorah and things like that. But it doesn't go back to the time of David or to the type of Moses or Abraham. It's pretty like almost leading up to the time of Jesus. I mean, it was during when the Greek Empire was taking over the Holy Land. So it's a fairly newer tradition that not a lot of Jews probably celebrated, but they remembered this warrior who they were potentially looking at to be a Christ. So and it's not even in the current Jewish canon of the Bible, which is hilarious. It's like, but it's a tradition that they're bringing about because it kind of falls in line to what was happening in the Western world. Hanukkah's starting to become a thing, so now it's a much bigger deal, at least for us Christians who wouldn't understand Judaism very well. We think, oh, this must be a giant celebration for them, but it's really not. It's a very, very minor feast. Anyhow,
Speaking of Judas Maccabeus, some of my favorite stories when I was reading the Bible as a kid, very graphic too.
oh yeah,
The Hammer, known as the Hammer, like this
Yep.
dude was something else. There was a rumor, I don't know how true it is. Mel
Is
Gibson
he
was
Thor?
supposed to do-
You said hammer.
What's the name?
I heard Thor. Pagan.
The Hammer,
It's
right?
pagan.
Oh, good. So apparently Mel Gibson was supposed to make a film about the Maccabees, right? Judas and all of that. So if you haven't done so already, read those books. They read like an action movie for sure. There's a scene where spoiler alert, there's a famous general under the Maccabees, I think it's under Judas, but their enemy had war elephants coming in. So you imagine massive war elephants marching in, and they're wrecking havoc amongst the troops. And this general sees this happening, and he's like, "Not on my watch." Runs straight into the face of danger, literally this giant elephant, and plunges his spear into the elephant underneath it. It collapses upon him. He dies, but that changes the tide of battle, and the Jews rush forward, and they're vanquishing
That's awesome.
their enemies. So I love that. I really hope. I don't know if Gibson's going to do that, but that would be sweet to see as a movie.
That was in the Gospel according to Thor versus Loki, right? So because that's
Yeah,
taken
Thor
from the
versus
pagans
Loki.
and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so if y'all Marvel heads, Marvel Studios wants to do something new, you got to look into that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, check this out. There's this tradition in Peru on December 25th where the people of the Andes Mountains Deep, they celebrate this tradition called Takanakwi. And it's a time where it's like a week-long event. People dance around the town, and then on the day of the 25th, they lead up to this special area where they get into brawls. brawls that I'm assuming at this point many people have seen. Imagine just indigenous looking people, more indigenous looking than me. Men, women, even children. They just go at it, dude. They just go at it. But it isn't a full out brawl. They have rules, they have parameters. There's even a ref with whips. So if things go astray, they start whipping you. But the rules are you're allowed to punch, you're allowed to kick, but you can't hit from behind. And once somebody falls, everything stops. A very key rule: you start off with a hug. You start off with a hug, and you finish off with a hug. Now, what's funny? Certain traditions are people wear a lot of unique garb, meaning different things. That's more detailed stuff. But you could even be fighting your employer because you could be wearing a mask, and so that's how you keep your identity secret.
That's right.
But even if you didn't, if you wanted to be open, exposed, the point is you could have a brawl with somebody who you've had beef with all year long, whether it's territorial or some drama, and you're supposed to settle it there. And when you're done, you're supposed to forget it, hug, move on, forgive each other.
It's the true spirit of Christmas. Punch your enemy in the face and give them a hug afterwards.
Hey, wait
And
a minute.
because
I know
we're-
this story. This is Arius and St. Nicholas. Oh, it's all pagan, I tell you.
But check this out. Like I want to dive a little bit deeper in this. As fighters, dude, there is something about beating the crap out of each other, and then for some reason, this guy that you've hated. I think of some of the great fights. This guy that you've hated the whole time, preparation for this fight. Then and then because you brawled and you got this new level of respect for this person, and then you respect this person. Now you're like almost the best of friends. I already have a couple fighters in my name: Hagler versus Thomas Hearn, Gotti versus Mickey Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Gotti was a cocky son of a gun. He thought he was a guy who just gave it his all. Not until he met Mickey Ward, who also gave it his all. Mickey Ward beat him, and that's when he was humbled. After that fight, they became the best of friends. They still fought 2 more fights after that, and Mickey Ward won best out of 3.
Rocky and it's not real. Rocky and Apollo Creed.
Yeah. Another great historical account.
Yes. And not to mention, if any of y'all, it's the 17th of December today, but last night was UFC. Patty, that Irish dude,
Patty
fought
Pimblett.
Ferguson.
Yep.
Before, like you're listening to the smack talk before, Ferguson's talking about this and that, and they're both talking good game, but Patty really made known his respect for Ferguson before and after the fight. He won, right? But Ferguson's a legend in the UFC, so the UFC also has that. Even with Colby Covington and the other dude, Leon, I forget his last name.
Edwards.
That championship fight.
Yeah.
Leon was a class act. Like, he won, and Colby Covington said some, disrespectful things. But when I listened to him speak about the fight, he gave him his props. He said, he spoke to Colby's skill and his tenacity, and he could have used that opportunity to really drag him down. And he did admit he was furious about what he said, and the anger got to him. But that's the major respect that I think that fights bring to the table. Even I was telling Junior earlier, Papi,
Yeah, please.
earlier,
Yeah.
that in my youth, there was a fight that I was witnessing. 2 of my friends got into a fight with 2 other people. The third guy, him and I, we didn't really see a point in fighting. We didn't have beef with each other. The other guys did. So they scrapped, and they were just going at it. And afterwards, arms around each other, and they were just like, "Oh man, that was a good fight, bro. Like, I respect you." And like, it was this weird dynamic from before and after. Only after you had traded blows were you able to respect each other going forward. So sometimes, that's a big thing. Like, that tradition you're talking about really does settle a lot of deep-seated issues, hopefully, if you can let your ego aside. So there's something about that experience of combat, of pain, of sharing something together that is painful. Even we're going back to that story about World War I, right, where the Allies and the Axis powers had fought came together on Christmas, and it was that deep-seated respect, very unique, where you could shake hands, you could play games, but you had that respect for each other. It humanized the other person. So, yeah, that's something to note.
Beautiful.
That could be a whole episode into itself, dude. It is a weird phenomena. I think our lady audience are probably just like scratching their heads. It's like, what the heck are you guys talking about? How the heck are you possibly respect each other after getting bloody, punching each other in the face, kicking each other while you're down, perhaps, and then you hug, then you become bros?
I will say, Zhang Weili and Joanna, I can't pronounce her last name, the Polish fighter. Joanna is one of my favorite fighters, and so is Zhang now. But that fight, I don't know if anyone watched that fight, two female fighters. If y'all know who Megamind is, that dude with the big blue head, right? All right. Yeah. So Joanna was getting tagged incessantly, big blows to the head. Her head was swollen up here. She looked like Megamind. It was one of the best fights I've ever seen. And I love watching men fight, but women is another issue. They got this viciousness behind them. But they went, I don't remember, I think they went the distance, meaning that they didn't TKO. I don't remember it totally, but...
Meaning that they didn't get knocked out or they didn't tap out, they didn't submit. So they finished towards the end. It lasted all 5 rounds.
But it was such an amazing fight because afterwards, Zhang, being from China, respected her so much. Like, she had nothing but kind words to say about her afterwards. And it was just this like atmosphere of respect that even like these two women were able to recognize with each other. So I really like seeing that.
Yeah. Now check this out though. This custom of takanakwi, it doesn't have beautiful roots. It stems from when the Spanish conquistadors were in Peru and the surrounding regions. They used to make on December 25th, their day off, they used to make their slaves, their indigenous slaves, brawl each other for their own personal fun. Luckily, when the conquistadors were driven back, they decided to keep that tradition amongst themselves. And they tied it with the music of, if I'm butchering this, I'm so sorry, my Peruvian people, huaylias, which is music that existed from way back when this region of Peru, deep in the Andes Mountains, they used to resist the Incan Empire as well, and they resisted them. Music of resistance, of being able to live up to the challenge, of fighting back. So they tied the music with this tradition, and now it's something that's current to them, something that they identify as, that they are proud of, that they do themselves. And now they know that they've caught the international eye, and they've even hosted groups that are trying to do documentaries or just for exposure. So it's a beautiful thing to them. They're proud of it. But it's funny because it's something that comes from horrendous roots. Slave, you fight that other guy who has his slave, and you better beat him because if you win, I make money or something like that.
Yeah, so from the colonizer roots. By the way, Spain, this is me. That's half of Mateo. So
we're gonna finish off the show by brawl.
Yeah, to settle this colonizer dispute.
Yeah, maybe I'll respect you after the fact.
But in the meantime, Mexican handshake.
No, I'm glad that the Spaniard controls something Mexican still. I just love that. Thanks, appreciate that, Matt. There's a reason why we kicked you guys out too. So.
So using that analogy to what we were just saying before, just because something has different roots doesn't disqualify certain practices today.
Yeah.
So that's why I brought it up. I also want to mention, haters going to hate, but there is this Peruvian poet and legal defense person for this group of this region. He says, towards the concept of Christmas, he's very much a purist, Peruvian purist, and very much anti-Western. He says this: many criticize that we crash on December 25th, that we brawl on December 25th. But I know nothing more wild and selfish than having a good dinner and giving each other gifts while others next to your house have nothing to eat. Furthermore, we celebrated Takanakwi before Christmas, which is a Western and capitalist custom that does not represent us. A man named Florentino Laime Mantilla. And then there's a Vice documentary on this. Maybe we'll post it in the comments. We'll link it there. I would say it's worth it. He has some very good points. Christmas, Christian roots, not native to Peruvian roots. So he has that, maybe, let's say, defense mechanism where he's just not willing to embrace it. So I'll give him his props for that. Chulo.
It's interesting that you mentioned that there's only so many months in a year, and there is bound to have overlap on traditions and celebrations. Like, we're all human. We all come together in certain ways, in different ways, whether it's brawling it out, but it's still a celebration. Some will say that Christmas is also a time for brawling amongst families in the West, right? So there's that. But yeah, I mean, there's bound to have some overlap, and with all the thousands of years that humanity has lived, all the different cultures, there's bound to be some overlap.
Talking about brawling, a little bit of a beef with this whole concept of Santa Claus. We all know that Santa Claus comes from the Norse god.
Do we, though?
Odin. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. If you're a little bit more open-minded, you're willing to see beyond what you know, that it stems from the Norse god Odin, the father of Thor, with his 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, 8-legged horse, who carried Odin around, and supposedly Norse children would put carrots, hay, and sugar in their boots. Does that sound familiar? Maybe stockings, okay? In their boots by the fireplace. What a coinkydink.
By the Yule log.
But what a coinkydink.
Who would have thought?
And then, of course, Sleipnir, he needed that to nourish himself before he goes to the next house. And Odin, being the good god that he actually is a bit of a douchebag, but he would put gifts in the boots. What's your response to that? How can you possibly deny that?
First of all, that's cheap because your boots are small. And how big of a gift can you get in a boot?
That's true.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's so interesting. Then I guess that completely nullifies the existence of Saint Nicholas of Myra in the 3rd and 4th century. I guess he never really existed and was never really a bishop of that general area, which is considered Turkey today.
But for those who don't know, what do you mean by Saint Nicholas? We're talking about Santa Claus.
Yes, if you look at Santa Claus, he is more of a representation of Saint Nicholas than he is of Odin, is what you said. So one thing you got to learn about Saint Nicholas, who was a real figure who actually existed in the 3rd and 4th century, who was bishop of Myra, which is modern day Turkey. He was known for putting gold coins in stockings or socks that were hanging by the fireplace to dry off, in order to pay the dowry for some of these women. So that to me sounds a little more to what Christmas is today. I guess I know the shoe thing is a common thing, but it's not as common as putting stockings up and expecting to get your stocking stuffed. Did I just Bobby, can you move over just a little bit to your right? Just a little more, just a little bit more. Yeah. Oh, what's that thing hanging over there by your drum set? Is that a shoe?
I don't know.
Oh, it's a stocking. I see.
There.
Who put that there? Matt, was that you?
Odin.
Odin put it
did.
there.
Odin put it.
Interesting.
And he put some. Wow, I saw him before the show started. You happen to put some carrots and some hay in there for Sleipnir to eat some food.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because he needs to be nourished. Sleipnir needs to be nourished before he goes to the next house.
interesting.
Duh. Everybody knows this.
Come on.
Everybody knows this, Chula.
Elementary
Man.
Madrid Waltz.
You know,
Elementary, bro.
Saint,
Nice try.
Saint Nicholas was thinking, I'm going to try to emulate Odin as much as I can because that's my god. I'm saying I follow Christ, but I'm actually following Odin, and that's exactly what he did. Very pagan.
Okay. You're kind of making a little bit of a believer in me. I did happen to come across this information that supposedly this allegation wasn't. There's no historical account of this allegation. It didn't happen until 1994 in a book titled Santa Claus, The Last of the Wild Men. Santa Claus, The Last of the Wild Men, where the author wasn't even a historian. He was just a newspaper writer. Okay. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, how the heck is Santa Claus or Saint Nick supposed to come from a Norse god if this claim wasn't made until 1994?
Interesting, huh?
So you're starting to convince me un poquito.
Have you not seen the movie Violent Night? It's the same dude who plays the dad in the adoptive father in Stranger Things. Love that actor. But he is, he's Santa Claus, but big spoiler alert, sorry, he's actually descended from, some Viking Norseman who then has to become Santa. I forget why. I just watched the movie for the violence, to be honest with you, but they alluded to that. So it was interesting because they're still drawing from this Norse idea of, good old Saint Nick being this actual crazed killer with a hammer. Again, a hammer.
The hammer keeps coming back.
No, okay. As let's speak about it. As dudes, we appreciate that type of movie.
We do.
It's called a Violent Christmas, right?
Violent Night.
Oh, a Violent Night.
Violent.
And the first movie. I'm sure there's going to be a second movie. It alludes to that as to why this dude has just this sympathy for children and they need gifts. And the thing that motivates him, he was unwilling to be involved in the plot of this movie, which is these criminals take over this house and they're going to rob them blind. And he didn't want to be a part of it. But because there happened to be this one little girl who believed in him, he swallows his pride and he gets all involved just to help this little girl. It was actually pretty beautiful. Yeah. But it doesn't explain exactly why. It explains that it does reveal that he was this very vicious man who killed mercilessly. But it hints that something happened and his heart grew 10 times fold, right?
Yeah.
But I'm assuming in the next movie it'll explain that, and now I want to watch the next movie. So that is a good movie for the bros.
Yeah.
Not a good movie to watch with the family. I would say that.
Gather around, kids. Let's watch a movie. Violent Night.
You're convincing me a little bit, Chulo. Just a little bit. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But come on. Christmas caroling. We all know it comes from the tradition, pagan custom of wassailing. Wassailing, which was a tradition where people sung songs, where they were drinking and scaring off evil spirits in order to have a good harvest. You tell me, Pop. You tell me, Chulo. What's your response to that? What could you possibly tell me?
That's a good one. I actually don't know. I don't know much about Christmas caroling. But then again, you know what? The crazy thing about it is, if that's the case, I guess none of us can sing now. That's horrible. We should not be singing.
Canceled.
Yeah.
Canceled.
No, canceled. Completely canceled.
Not even Baby It's Cold Outside?
Singing is pagan. You shouldn't be doing it. Stop it. Damn. So just because there's overlap doesn't necessarily mean that's
put in my mouth.
I love the saying, correlation does not imply causation.
Beautiful. I love it.
Science.
Yes, science.
Science said that, not me.
That's right.
All right. Okay. You're right. You guys know where the song Hark the Herald Angels Sing? You know who wrote that?
I do not know.
Who wrote that?
If you're going to be stickler for you're only doing Catholic things, that song was written by the two founders of the Methodist faith.
What's my This is my question. What's the method? I still haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, what is the
I don't understand it. What's the
We're
method?
not going to knock on them. We're not going to knock on them. You know, for all our Methodist audience out there. We're not gonna knock on them.
What's the word? Ecumenism?
Ecumenism.
Ecumenism, yes.
Yeah. So a beautiful song, "Hark the Herald Angels Sings." Yes. So what are we discovering? Just because, like, let's assume that everything had pagan tradition, and we just use similar traditions from pagan tradition, but we made it Catholic. The point is that it's not dirty. It's not bad. It's it could be just like the Takanakwi, the brawls that still happen, which is a beautiful tradition, which they see as something good, something they're proud of, something that derived from Spaniard abuse.
I'm sorry, by the way, on behalf of Spain.
Thank you. Something that derived from Spaniard roots. I'm 4% Spanish. So it doesn't equate to, it's called the genetic fallacy, the genetic fallacy. Just because its genetic roots has something horrendous doesn't mean that it takes away the merits of the customs of today. Are we all in agreement?
Agreed.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
On that note, since you're talking about it, what's your guys' favorite Christmas song?
Carol of the Bells. It slaps.
Carol of the Bells. Okay. Yours, Papi?
The one that makes me cry, and I haven't heard it in a while, is of that little kid who couldn't afford that shoe for his mother, and then somebody behind him puts the money down, and it's a shoe for his mother that he's trying to buy for his mother has cancer, and she's in her deathbed. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Sounds like a serious song.
It is a very serious, sad song. Okay, you guys don't know it, but yes, it's a song that's amazing. Did that just pop up?
Yeah, he gets the.
Oh, you did it again,
Oh, baby!
You gotta learn all these commands because we want to do it too. Like, let's see.
We don't get nothing.
Yeah, we don't get nothing over here, dude.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
You've
okay.
been blessed. You've been blessed by the thumbs up.
How about this one?
Drop a finger.
Nothing. Dude, that's cool, dude. We better explore that, dude.
Oh,
Baby.
All right, so it just requires one thumb. Chulo, have you ever heard of the mistletoe? The mistletoe and how it has like, where did it come from?
I don't know, but I'm going to share with you my favorite Christmas song before I get to that. My favorite song is O Come Emmanuel. That, you want to talk about one that gives me chills?
you mean your favorite Advent song?
Look, my friend, this is not being stickler right here, all right? Advent, Christmas, we're blending it all together because it is the time, it is the season. You know what's funny? I used to be, before we get to the mistletoe part, Papi, I used to be very much the kind of person that says, it is not Christmas, it's Advent. And I was talking to one of my colleagues, and he was telling me, like, you know, what good does that do to anyone? To be such a stickler to the point of you're trying to kill the joy and tell them it is time to be penitential, which fair enough, but you're trying to kill the joy and you're really not showing your Christianity by trying to kill someone's joy of celebrating the birth of Christ, even if it is early. Yeah.
I could dig that. Yeah, because then you're being a Scrooge.
Yeah, exactly. So, Matthew Scrooge, we'll go ahead and move on from that. So, Christmas, Advent, meh.
Well, you're making a believer out of me, I would say.
All right,
You know,
so
I'm somebody who's willing to change my ways, my perspective with new information, and that is how things go. Like, so many circumstances, not until you know more history, more context. Maybe there was somebody who was like a firm believer that because something stems from other roots, all you're trying to do now is just steal those traditions and put a new title on it. But no, with all this information that we're hearing, maybe now you can realize because something stems from different traditions doesn't negate this new practice or this other practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So for those who don't know, the mistletoe came from the early 1700s in English household servants, where they just developed this little tradition of mistletoe, and then they would kiss. What is something that stayed green during the whole year, during the winter season? You know, most things die by this winter season, and so much so that you could see it in northern and southern cultures.
Hmm.
So northern and southern cultures was the evergreen, which was the mistletoe. Um, and of course, they use it part of their celebration. It only makes sense.
Hmm.
So to claim that it was this, you know, only pagan root, no bueno. Doesn't make sense. There's even some traditions that we have forgotten. Supposedly, there's this tradition of the Christmas pyramid. Have you ever heard of that? The Christmas pyramid?
No.
Sounds like the Illuminati.
It sounds like the Illuminati. No, just imagine this wooden pyramid thing that had different shelves.
Keep it going. Keep it going. I'll be back. Keep it going.
They wouldn't put gifts in there. It was just more so decorative. So they would have different shelves, and they would put little trinkets in there to make it more festive. It was pretty. It was pretty.
And so the little shelves, when would you open them?
I don't know, but it was a tradition. I don't know. Yeah. Isn't there like a chocolate box thing that you only open?
That's what I'm saying. The whole the Advent calendar.
Yeah, I'm sure that's like less heard of. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So I don't know. They've really commercialized it, but you can buy a calendar leading up to Christmas. Every day you open the next day, and there's like a little chocolate or whatever inside of it, and then you keep going until Christmas. And I've never that has not been one of our traditions, but I hear a lot of people buy stuff for that, and it's typically chocolate. Funko Pop, apparently the whole collectible thing, has their own deal now with that too. So again, not sponsored by Funko Pop, but please, if you want to. So there's that too. I've never done the advent calendar kind of deal, but
And at the end of the day, people can do whatever the heck they want in their own household. I was out dancing last night, salsa dancing, and I was it just popped up in conversation. Everybody's wishing you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and there was this one gal who is a very much practitioner of Christmas. Her and her family. She's going to southwestern Virginia, so away from the city, away from the military zone of southeastern Virginia. And her mother started a tradition where they go hiking on Christmas Day. And I said, oh, okay, cool. That is such an awesome family tradition. Like a 1 mile hike, and then you eat some food or something. She says, no, it's a solid 10-mile hike, little kids and all, intense hike, cold as can be. If it's cold, doesn't matter. They'll do it, and then it's 10 miles back, and they do it all in one day.
20-mile hike.
Yeah, 20-mile hike, all in one day. Pretty freaking baller. So at the end of the day, a household will run itself as they please, but they still have the intention of celebrating that day. So that's pretty beautiful, I would say.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yup. All right. What's one thing that kind of breaks our hearts a bit? We're starting to see this trend. We've seen it for a while. Is it really still celebrating Christmas, or is it celebrating something else? We're seeing the consumerism kind of taking over for a while now, this feast, this celebration. What are your thoughts on that?
So just the other day, there's living close by Franciscan University, we have a lot of visiting priests coming in for they're getting courses in theology and stuff. And my parents, when they visited me here, they went to daily mass often. And one of the priests who they introduced themselves to, his name is Father Gerald from Nigeria. And I took him to grab some stuff for himself. He needs to get groceries to Costco. And we were talking about Christmas, and he was telling me the last homily he did, and it was the one with John the Baptist, and they were the comparison to Elijah. So I think I forget the exact reading, something to the effect of just the other day. It was he was giving the the message of the so Saint John the Baptist is supposed to kind of reflect the coming of Elijah again, even though he says I'm not Elijah, but you expect Elijah to come back as the same way he came the first time. So if anyone remembers the story of Elijah, look it up. It's awesome. He's the dude who had an altar, and he had a little a battle with the priest of Baal, and he's like, "Yo, your God's whack," and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Look, if you think your God's all that, make an altar, sacrifice a bull on it, and ask your God, ask your boy to send down fire and consume your offering. Okay, I'm gonna do the same." So they're like, bet. So they get together, they get their altars, they make an altar, they sacrifice a bull, and you have these priests of Baal praying to their God to send down fire to consume their offering. So from like the morning to noon, they're praying, and Elijah's trolling them the whole time. He's like, oh, keep going. He's like, keep going, keep going. I bet you he's sleeping right now. You gotta go louder, louder, enunciate what you're. And they're getting upset, so they're dancing on the altar, and they're kind of grotesque. They're cutting themselves, they're mutilating their bodies. That's part of how they worshipped. To no avail, obviously. Elijah, father as he is, he makes his altar, puts the sacrifice on top, and he's like, grab some water. Mind you, at the time there was a drought. Okay, there was a drought, no water, not a lot of it. But he's like, get some water. So they pour buckets of water 3 times on his altar. The water's coming down and it's filling. He dug a trough around the altar. So there's water in the trough. The altar itself is soaked. The wood is soaked with water. It's wet. So people are like, you're playing yourself, man. Like, what do you really think you're doing? So gets down, starts praying. Lo and behold, as the Bible says, God sent down fire, consumes this offering. And what happens? The priests they get executed afterwards, right? Because Elijah is triumphant. So you're looking for this next coming of Elijah, but John the Baptist is not that. He's different, very different. So Father Gerald's preaching this in his homily. So you're expecting this guy who was taken to heaven in a chariot of fire, but you get John the Baptist. This man is in ratty clothing, in the skins of animals. He's eating wild locusts. He's eating honey, wild honey. He's a madman to most people. Like, who is this dude? He's talking about repent and do. What are you talking about? You're putting water on people to baptize them. What is this? And this is John the Baptist, right? So John the Baptist is outspoken. He's calling for repentance, but he's also calling for reconciliation, right? And that's one of his major themes, reconciling families, and this is his message. And then you juxtapose the idea of the Jewish Messiah, a conquering Messiah, a political figure, someone who's going to drive the Roman occupation out. But you get Jesus, who is a radical figure in himself, but not the one they're expecting. So he's giving you this imagery. He's telling me this in the car as we're driving. And he's saying, you expect one thing, but you get another. And it's very much like in Nigeria, he was telling me, we see the Christian or the North American tradition of Christmas, of trees, lights, presents under the tree, shopping for yourself, shopping for other people, giving people stuff. But he said, for me, it's all about finding opportunities to give people who are in need things that they actually need. So he's saying, like, as an uncle, I have my nieces and nephews are asking me for things. They're asking for money. And he says one of the things he does is he gets rice and he gets chicken and he provides this as gifts for the community. And a lot of the time, rice is a major commodity for some people. Not everyone can afford it. So you're giving out of the goodness of your heart. And that is what Christmas is in this place where he's from, his villages. So you have people who have a house in the city, and then they have their ancestral homes out in the village. And it's a tradition of going back and providing for your village the things that they need most. So those who need something are getting what they're looking for here during Christmas. And when he says when I think of Christmas, that's what I think of. And lo and behold, when this Christmas season, Black Friday just hit us, right? And I'm like, yo, I gotta get all these gifts for so and so, and these deals for myself, and I have these gifts under the tree. And most of the time, my girlfriend's telling me it's impossible to shop for her family. She'll buy stuff for them, they don't use it. So she's like, I don't know what to do. And you're buying things for people and giving them things they don't necessarily need. And they won't tell you what they want, they take care of it themselves. But to pay attention to what the need really is, you're looking for, this is what Christmas is, and it's consumerism, it's buying stuff, it's gifts, it's the new PlayStation, it's whatever. You really need that. You don't really need that. What you need is that sense of community, of actually making the trip to see your relatives in person with, maybe a gift, but your presence is the gift, right? Your presence is a present. And that's what we need as a culture, I feel, is the community to come back. And we need to give the opportunity for those who don't have a family to come to. What are you doing for Christmas? You don't have anybody? Come join us. Some of my clients speak of the same thing. They don't have family. They don't have a big social circle. But so many of them have told me, I've taken it upon myself. I'll ask them because, seasonal affective disorder is a big thing. Depression runs high at this time. And I've been so inspired to hear stories from some of my clients where they're saying, this season, all I really want is to provide a place to go for people who don't have people to be around during this time. I live in government housing. In my apartment building, I know so many people who are going to spend it by themselves. But guess what? I know who they are. I'm inviting them to where I'm at. I want them to join me. Maybe we'll cook a meal. Maybe I can't afford to give them a gift, but they're going to get to eat something I cooked. And we're just going to spend time together, and we're going to enjoy this Christmas season this way. So I was like, wow, that really changes the perspective of what you expect for Christmas to be this thing. What we expect from Elijah, what we expect from a Messiah to be something that what we actually need at that given time.
That's beautiful, man.
Oh, thank you.
It really is. And whew, then until we hear those stories, this thing click. Do things click for us in our mind? Talk about first world problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a beautiful tradition.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is we have to remember. I always think of marriage and weddings. What people, when they propose and she says yes, they start preparing for the wedding day. This elaborate event that is beautiful, but they forget to prepare for each other as a couple. And it takes 3 to get married. They forget to include God in that preparation. Maybe you could share about this a little bit, Chulo. And I would analogize that to the same thing with Christmas. You forget that it's about not just spending time with family, with each other. That's beautiful. But you forget that it's about a certain person, about a certain infant coming into this world.
Yeah.
Some have referred to him as sweet baby Jesus. Baby Jesus.
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights, yes. For those who know that movie.
I refer to him as Sol Invictus, but hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's the beauty of what this, of Advent. You cannot have a Christmas without Advent, without the preparation. Just like
Before you continue, explain what is Advent for those who don't know.
so, Advent, I guess in the technical sense, it's a season in the Catholic liturgical calendar. So the Catholic Church has a liturgical calendar where we have different seasons in it. So it starts at the end of November, around Thanksgiving time, and then it starts and ends around that time. So the beginning of the year, you start with the season of Advent. It's the preparation for the coming of Jesus Christ on this earth. So you prepare for about 4 weeks. So a lot of the times where you'll see are wreaths in Catholic churches, wreaths with 4 candles. You have 3 purple ones. One of them is rose. I won't call it pink because then I don't want to get in trouble with my fellow stickler Catholics. And it's a preparation for the coming of Jesus Christ as a baby, but there's a double meaning to it, as it's also preparing yourself for the return of him in his second coming. So it's a time of preparation, and in one sense, it is a time of sacrifice and mortification, because in order for you to celebrate, there needs to be the preparation. And I think this happens for a lot of cultures. It's same thing with Lent and Easter. It's 40 days of preparation, and it's a lot of sacrifice. So that way, when it's time to feast, it's time to feast. And same thing for Christmas. The 4 weeks of preparation, and it's and after you prepare, then you celebrate. And Christmas is not just one day, people. It's not just on the 25th of December. That's the first day of Christmas. It's a whole season unto itself. So they say that it ends on the Epiphany. That's why there are how many days of Christmas?
15 days, of course.
Well, I mean, what's the song? 12 Days of Christmas, right? So on the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
The Norse,
4 calling birds.
yeah, I'm practicing the Norse tradition, 15 days of Norse Christmas.
But it's a whole season into itself. So it's not like we're spending 4 weeks to celebrate one day. It's 4 weeks to celebrate, the 2-3 weeks, and then some. So we prepare ourselves. So just like in marriage, you prepare yourselves. That's what engagement is about. When I got engaged, I had the betrothal blessing done at the church, and it was such a beautiful prayer, because you're not only saying, all right, here's the ring, now let's start preparing all the details, but it's preparing your heart for what's to come. And the beautiful words, I don't have them in front of me right now, but it's like I vow and I pledge to prepare myself in all ways to receive you fully. So it's almost like a pre-wedding day, and I think Advent is the pre-birth of Jesus, where it's you're preparing for it. It's beautiful. So
Yeah.
I almost forgot. So talked about my Spaniard heritage, but the other side, the Filipino side, we actually start celebrations as early as September, and we don't stop until the Epiphany.
wow.
So it's a long time, and I didn't know this. I just found this now, but we have something very similar to search for lodging in Bethlehem, right? How you're going to 3 houses.
Mm-hmm.
Something very similar. I'm not going to say the word because I can't pronounce it, but it starts with a P. It's a reenactment of the Holy Family's search for lodging in Bethlehem, and it's very similar to that Mexican tradition. Is it posadas?
Posadas, yep.
Posadas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So very similar to that. So there's a whole lot of different things, and I just thought of that now to see what else there was. But a lot of it is, imagine we're talking about preparation from September all the way to the Epiphany. So that's a long time. That's one of the longest traditions to celebrate the Christmas season.
And I'll be honest, I was dating a girl after college, one of my long-term relationships, and she knew that I was a person of new beginnings. Like anytime it was a new year, or anytime I went after like a long dip in my personal life, I really valued feeling new, and all this energy and effort and discipline also kicked in, and I tended to start off strong. And it was the first day of Advent. She looked at me, grabbed my hands, and with beautiful face and beautiful love for me, she said, "Happy Advent. I know you love new beginnings. Happy Advent." And I did not understand what she meant. It was like early December. When does Advent start technically?
It's I believe the last week of November.
Yeah. Well, she looked at me, and I was like, thank you." But now that I know more of it, it is truly a day of new beginning. I'm
Love it.
pretty darn happy about that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Let's do a quick recap. What have we talked about?
Well, we debunked the fact that that Christmas is a pagan holiday.
We reiterated the fact that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Very important.
Shout out to Nakatomi Plaza.
Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah. And we remembered the past by looking back at the Christmas truce of 1914, was it?
Yeah.
1914.
1914. Do you think Santa Claus would be more of a, or even Saint Nick, would be more of a cigar guy or a pipe guy?
I take him more as a pipe guy.
Yeah, more so his era, right?
Possibly. I feel like cigars are nice because you can get rid of them, but pipes is very practical too because you just need the tobacco. You got a pipe, you just need the tobacco. But if you have the tobacco, you don't have a wrapper. What are you gonna do?
Good point.
Speaking of which, shout out to Chesterton Cigar Shop, downtown Steubenville. Again, they do not sponsor us yet, but that's where I got this from. They taught me about rolling cigars. I have some cigars I rolled myself still that I'm going to smoke at some point. Maybe even on the show. Who knows?
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was there that day with you.
He also rolled. He did a great job.
Cool.
Random international fact. I know we all like random information. One big thing that happens in Peru is I've heard Americans call it a fruit cake, but it's more than a fruit cake to us. It's called panettone. Panettone, it comes in it's not a square, but it's an Italian product that's now also become more of a Peruvian product. It used to be the biggest thing in Italy, but now we've totally beaten them. We've totally beaten any South American country for like the last 4 years. We're the biggest consumers of panettone. Google it if you want, panettone, Paneton. And it's delicious with milk or coffee, and it's one thing that we devour. We devour it on Christmas Day. After the celebration, that we go into the wee hours of Christmas Eve night, drinking and dancing and gift opening and all that. And then on Christmas Day, we wake up late, and our abuelitas and our mamitas and tias, they do all the cooking. And guys, of course, we build stuff. No, we do. I don't know. Every family's different. And then we just devour panettone. So that's one random fact for you guys.
Nice. Good
To
stuff.
end, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna end on a beautiful, beautiful Methodist Christmas carol that you all may know. Hark the herald angels sing. Let's get ready, boys. Me. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconcile. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem.
Oh, wow.
And with that, ladies and
10 out of
gentlemen,
10.
thank you for being a part of the Papi and Chulo show with our guest, Matt Escaño. Till next time, Merry Christmas.